Welcome back to another episode of the Lake Protectors Podcast. I'm your host, Lindsay Canay, Education Manager here at the Lake George Association. And today we are joined by Luke Dow from the Steamboat Company and Luke Dow Photography. Thank you for joining us today, Luke.
Thanks for having me here.
Yeah, of course. We are going to talk about family history. We're going to talk about your photography. But first, let's just jump in and give us a little bit about who you are, what you do here at Lake George.
I mean, you kind of said it, Steamboat Company, yep. Pictures, try to support local groups through the company, through various two events. Yeah.
Okay. So you are, of course, when we say the Steamboat Company, we're talking about the Lake George Steamboat Company. You currently have 3 boats that operate on the lake. It's not all year, but it's throughout the whole summer. But you do have some fall, winter cruises. Yeah.
Our cruises start up in May, roughly around Mother's Day. We start trickling them out. Then after Memorial Day, weekends are full bore, but the weeks are low. And then end of June until Labor Day, that's full season. That's 7 days a week.
All 3 boats going out all the time.
Going all the time. And then, it's back to the, after Labor Day.
Now, we're early December right now. Do you guys have any boats right now going out? Do you do a holiday cruise, though?
We used to.
Okay. I was going to say, I remember one of those boats being decorated, but years ago.
Yeah. My dad, for the millennium, he wanted to have a New Year's Eve cruise.
Okay.
And then we did it for a couple of years, then stopped. Then he brought it back for a couple of years. Then after all of us begging him, it stopped. And much to, I'm surprised he agreed to do it because he absolutely loved those cruises.
Yeah.
But it was such a pain to, in the fall, winterize the boat.
Yep.
Then unwinterize it and heat the heck out of it.
For one day's worth.
Yeah, basically. Yeah. So it's like 2-3 weeks of work rehiring people, then re-letting them go.
Right.
All to basically maybe break even.
Right.
And it was, I wasn't, at the time I was working in the engineering department, so it was, winterize the toilets. Now unwinterize the toilets.
Right.
Get the heat going. Make sure the water's, not freezing.
Right.
And also, anytime it snowed, shovel the decks. And the Saints got a lot of deck space.
Yes.
And it was always nice and wet and heavy. And most of the time it always rained the day we were shoveling. And I got so mad. I'm like, oh my God, we're getting so much snow. And then after New Year's, I'd be like, all right, you can snow. I don't care. And of course, it would never snow.
Never snow till like March when everyone's ready for it to be gone. Your family really is like a legacy icon of this region. Can you tell us a little bit about, the Steamboat Company's been around for how long?
The company itself has been around for, 208 years now.
Okay.
So 1817. And just providing transportation up until the 1930s. And then it transitioned to tourism. And then my grandfather purchased it in 1946. And we've had it ever since.
Okay, so I didn't realize that originally Steamboat was meant for transport to and from up and down the lake. I'm assuming various spots.
Well, so for the first... Because I guess when Lake George started back in, when did Caldwell bring it here? 1815.
Okay.
And it was all just kind of farmers, and he wanted to turn it into more of like a destination of sorts.
Yeah.
And then he kind of went in with these guys who started I don't know if they were a part of Robert Fulton's, operation with the first steamship. Mm-hmm. But they had started a company just a few years after Fulton did on Lake Champlain, and then he partnered with them. Made, of course, the James Caldwell because the guy loved himself. Called him, the village of Caldwell.
They all do.
Caldwell.
They all do.
And so it was a way because no trains. It was all just horse and buggy back in the day.
Water transport.
And, even though I think the trip itself, just the one-way trip up the Ty took like 8 or 10 hours, something crazy.
Okay.
It was way faster than anything. I don't know if they made any stops.
I would imagine that's faster than horse and buggy.
Yeah. I don't think they made any stops, though, until the late, mid 1800s. That's when I think towns started, thanks to the steamboats popping up along the lake.
Yeah.
Then even when the trains came in, the trains would come in down to Lake George, unload the boats, and then the boats would make, 14 plus stops up and down.
From the same dock that you guys are at now, or from the same location?
Yeah, up until 1882, the pier was actually located. Well, the first pier was actually located in front of what is now Shepherd Park.
Okay. Yep.
And then I think when the Fort William Henry was built in 1850-ish, that's when the steamboats moved the pier to
Beach Road,
that location.
Yeah.
And then when the railroads came in 1882, that's when they built their pier at the current location.
Okay.
And the boats operated out of there and still do. But there's I found this book, and I think it's up in Bolton Landing, the actual book itself. But it details the chart. It has got a chart of Lake George and the path of the steamboats, and then it details how you should carry livestock. Don't throw dead bodies overboard. It's really fun. It's good.
Yeah,
read.
to this day, don't do that.
And absolutely no hay because everything's wood burning or coal burning.
Right.
Didn't want the wooden ships to catch on fire. So it's really fascinating.
And a couple of them have, or one of them has. I feel like in this area, everything at some point old did catch on fire. But one of our floating classroom captains, Todd Earl, major history buff, every time we go up the lake, he's always wonderful. He's always telling me, I get a history lesson every time we go up the lake. And I know one of them, did one of the steamboats catch fire? Or no, it hit a rock.
So.
And then caught fire?
Clarify this for me. Two boats caught fire.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure the John Jay, which unfortunately up until the Ethan Allen was the largest loss of life on the lake. I think 9 people died in that one. But there's a funny story about that.
Okay.
John Jay, 1856, I do believe, coming down, fire was discovered, and the captain went back to where the rudder room was because there was a manual thing he could use to push the rudder back and forth.
Okay.
So he's basically steering blind, fire in front of him, trying to steer this into shore because they know they're in deep water. And right there where the boat lies, it's either on one side of the boat, it was 6 feet of water. The other side of the boat, it was 40 feet of water.
Classic Lake George.
And basically people who jumped off the boat on the land side survived.
Oh, dear.
Other side didn't because they're 1800s clothes, big furly, fluffy things. So the boat was burning. He's steering it into shore, trying to beach it. Unfortunately, the boat hit Calamity Rock and bounced back out into the lake. And that's why people, except that there was one survivor who jumped off the deep side of the boat and survived.
Wow.
So going back again, back in the day, boring as hell. You're 8 hours, 6, 8, however many hours going up a lake, smaller boat, not much to do.
No.
And so how did they entertain themselves? Well, people would gather boxes of rattlesnakes and play with them in front of people. Snake handlers.
Okay.
And people, that was great fun back in the day. So that cruise, there was this rattlesnake handler, and he's like, "Oh, look, I'm not getting bitten and dying. How great." Everyone's like, "Yay." Boat's on fire. People jumping off. I think a 6-year-old girl jumps off the deep side.
Oh. Is she the survivor?
She is. She sees this box floating, climbs on top of the box, floats into shore. That box was filled with rattlesnakes from the rattlesnake guy.
Is this how the rattlesnakes came to Tongue Mountain? Like,
no,
is this
no,
that
they
deep
were
of
here.
lore? They've
been here for a minute.
Were here.
Yeah.
This was a fun party boat trip.
Just
snakes on the
used a couple
boat.
of them.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, we love her. Do we know her name?
I can't remember.
Okay, we're gonna.
It's in books and stuff.
Yeah, we'll figure that. That's awesome. Present day, how long would it take, or how long does it take for one of the boats to go all the way up to tie?
I think the Mo and the Saint can make it up full bore, hour and a half, 2 hours.
Okay, that's the same as the floating classroom. Do you have a favorite boat?
Well, I was a deckhand on the Mini, so that one's a little special to me.
Okay.
I mean, it really is the best for a young high school boy. You get to sleep on the boat with your buddies.
Okay.
So it's like an apartment you don't have to pay for. And high school guys sleeping on a boat.
Shenanigans ensue. Probably.
Wow, you literally read my mind. That's the exact phrase I was going to use. It's crazy. Yes, shenanigans. So I've got a lot of memories of those days.
Yeah.
Especially with a couple of kids who unfortunately are no longer with us. Oh. So that, but we always got the Mini.
That's right. That's awesome. Of all of those 3 boats, they still go, they're still doing the same trip, except one is dinner cruise, one's the hourly, one's like the full lake cruise, right?
Every one of them does different trips. I mean, they all, the Mini just does her little mile here, not mile, hour loop, around the southern base. She goes about 2-3-ish miles, turns back around. Saint kind of dips into the bays up to Bolton, and she's more the dinner cruise. The Mohican goes into the Narrows and beyond. Yes. So each of them has different cruises that they offer that are completely unique that none of the other boats, with the exception of the first 10 miles of the lake,
right,
being pretty well traversed between the Mo and the Saint. You're seeing the same stuff.
Right.
And
there's some educational components built in. I went on the Mohican this past summer and I think it was the 2.5-hour cruise. We went up a little bit into the Narrows, and then came back down. But very interesting. I mean, when we talk about an institution, I think the vast majority of school children in this area at one point or another go on one of the boats. Like, I think that's such a definitive memory for so many local kids. So, like, starting at a young age. I know I did it. I can't remember what. Yeah, I mean, obviously, yes. I can't remember what age, but old enough that I was probably a young teenager. But I know, again, often when we're doing our floating classroom trips, there's a lot of kids that are coming and going from the boats. And you guys also have a setup in New Orleans, right?
Yeah. We've got 2 boats down there now. The Steamboat Natchez and the Riverboat City of New Orleans. And that my brother's down there.
Okay.
Not with that.
And those are similar, like hour and a half long. Do you often have people who have done both? Or like, do you guys hear stories of people who maybe were up here in Lake George and then were down in New Orleans and did the same?
Every now and then you get that story. You never really hear any stories of people being down in New Orleans, coming up to Lake George,
right,
and then being like, oh my God. The Natchez runs, 3 or 2 or 3 kind of dinner-ish lunch trips. About 2.5 hours. The city of New Orleans kind of does the same thing.
Yeah.
They used to go to the battlefield there, Battle of New Orleans, 1820. Now it's just a huge field on the river that's covered in red ants. Very fun to walk through. But yeah, that's kind of used to do that trip back in the day. Now it doesn't.
Okay.
Then they used to do a trip to the zoo because the zoo down there has a a dock for boats.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So you used to be able to take one of the boats to the dock at the zoo, go on into the zoo, go around. And so kind of almost the same like transportation by river
By
type
riverboat. I've never been on a riverboat like that, but certainly would love to and go to New Orleans. In Lake George, you guys are running every single day. Is there one cruise that's a little bit more popular than the others, or is it the mini?
Mini.
Yeah.
The mini.
Always.
100%.
We encounter the mini every single day.
Yeah.
Out there.
The mini, and especially now our pirate cruise.
What's that?
So I'm sure you've heard the cannons roaring on Friday nights or Thursday and Friday evenings.
No, I don't know that I have. I mean, I hear the cannon every day at noon. They still give me a little jump scare, but no.
Yeah. So, I mean, back when I was a deckhand on there, early 2000s, it was always the last cruise of the day. The captains would hug the East Shore, fire off a couple of rounds at people on the shoreline. They'd go, and then they fall into the water.
Little reenactment.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that was just a thing. So then a few years ago, it might have been my mom who was like, we need to let's make this a special dedicated cruise. We'll save, and also because ammunition got expensive for blanks, and blanks are crazy expensive. It's weird. You think if they didn't have the steel in there, they wouldn't be expensive, but
it's a niche thing. Of course, it's going to be expensive.
So yeah, we're firing blanks. And so the boat comes around, and we give all the kids, eye patches, little flags and stuff. And there's this one really great captain, and he's got a fantastic pirate voice. And he just does all these things and pirate jokes and whatnot. And the Calliope plays little pirate tunes, and then the mini just fires off at the shore. And now the shore is kind of coalesced together, and they call themselves the Park Street Pirates.
Okay.
So they've got their pirate flags and cannons to fire back. So it's a volley of fire back and forth.
Pirate fight.
And then the Mohican got involved because the paths got
crossed a little bit. Okay.
And so the mini starts firing at the Mohican. Then the Mohican started dressing up like pirates and firing back at the mini. And the boats will slow down. So it's literally like a volley of fire at sea.
So this happens every Thursday, Friday?
Yeah.
Okay.
The last cruise of the day. This year, I think the last cruise was at 7. We might be tweaking the schedule yet again. We'll find out.
Okay.
And I remember one time, it was a calm day, and I was flying my drone over them to get some shots of this fire going back and forth, and they were the boats were 10 feet away from each other. I thought they were going to hit.
That's really...
And I'm like...
that my heart is racing thinking of that. Knowing how slow... Well, I mean, they're not that quick to move.
No, not at all.
No.
Nope. And yeah, they were coming right at each other, and I'm like... I can't really talk through my drone.
Yeah.
And I'm like, move, please. And they did, but they were like, so close. And I'm like, well, it's pretty badass, but at the same time,
could have been a really bad day.
Yeah.
It is impressive watching them, the boats go in. I mean, the crews are just so well trained, and
I mean, our captains
pretty fluid
are
motion.
Our captains are, they hold themselves to an incredibly high standard.
Yeah.
And I mean, Ed Stanoka, I think right now is our longest serving captain. And I mean, he's been with the boats since the late 60s, early 70s, I believe.
Wow.
And a couple other captains since the 80s. Current captain, head captain Victor Bates. He can operate all three of them, and there's a thing where it's they go into Paradise Bay if they can. Mm-hmm. Depends on if there's boats blocking the way or the wind. Yeah. And I remember one time I flew my drone over and showed a video of the Mo entering the bay, turning around and exiting, and when the boat turned around, I did a looking down shot, and you can see a little pulse by the bow showing that he used the bow thruster. and before exiting the bay. And Victor saw that, and he's like, I'm going to have to give him some crap. And I'm like, why? And he's like, he used the bow thruster.
You're not supposed to do that?
Any
Paradise
captain
Bay?
worth his salt,
Okay.
especially if he has a twin screw ship, you never have to use the bow thruster. Those twin screws, you can manipulate them and turn the boat either way. So it's a point of pride, even like
To not have to use that. Okay.
yeah.
But to catch it on a drone shot, that's quite impressive. What a testament, though, that you guys have had a crew that spans back that far. That's seldomly seen, I would say. The fact that everyone's returning, that's amazing.
I mean, we've had folks, Sal Labruzzo, our warehouse guy. He retired a couple years ago, and I think he was there for 54 years. Johnny Meyer retired back in our old chief engineer back in 2020 or 2021. And he had been in 49 years or something like that. Linda Winslow, another lady, accountant, secretary lady who's, she's kind of semi-retired now, but still there, 40 plus years. Bill Wilson, South, down in New Orleans. He's been with the company since the, mid 60s. Obviously, Dad made it, 60 years? Wow. I think he was 1962. So, just year after year, bartenders, year after year. I mean, we've been blessed to have a lot of really great people come back year after year, especially in these trying times where it's tough to, and I can understand, tough to have a summer job, then find a winter job, then go back for the summer, then find another winter job. And it's a lot of work.
Clearly they look forward to it, though, if they keep coming back.
Yeah.
So...
No,
But I mean, to be out on the water in Lake George every day is
not a bad gig.
Not a bad gig at all. I can attest to that.
It was so funny. Years ago, during the pandemic, trying to find people to work, and of course, no one wants to work. And so you could list jobs on Facebook, and we'd make a listing and have our starting salary on there. And the main comment from all the trolls were, "Oh, you make more at McDonald's." And it's like, hey, man, if your dream is to make money and flip burgers behind a greasy grill, who am I to stand in your way?
Right.
The fact that you're on a boat on a lake in the outdoors has to account for something.
A beautiful lake, nonetheless.
Yeah,
one of the cleanest.
But, hey, you want those burgers and fries, man.
Yeah.
Go for it.
Well, you talked about your drone, so let's jump into photography. When you were doing your drone shots, are you on the deck of the boat with the drone going?
No.
Or do you do it from the shoreline?
I do it from the shoreline.
Okay.
Yeah. No, the boat moving makes it tough because the drone will activate. It'll go up for a couple of feet, pause for a second, and then you can take off.
Okay.
But that second pause, as a boat's moving underneath it, means that drone could travel back
to the other
feet, 10, 15 feet.
I gotcha.
And I remember we were doing a thing. Someone wanted to film a special cruise for like the relative race. Something on like some Christian channel out in Utah or something. I don't know how they found us, but they were doing this race, reality show, relatives, long lost relatives getting together, and then these newfound family members can race for money or something like that.
Okay.
But they wanted to film like something on the boat, and their drone guy, the minis going along, and the drone guy stands right behind his drone and takes off, and then it pauses. But of course, this whole time the boat's moving.
Right.
So the drone kind of goes right into the drone's not moving. The drone is locked in with satellites right there. But the dude's moving towards the drone.
Right.
And Yeah, the drone runs right into him, and he puts out his hand and gets his hand all chopped up.
Oh,
Yeah, those plastic.
yeah, they move really
quick.
Yeah. How long have you been doing photography? Or I guess when did your interest in it begin?
I mean, I've always kind of been interested in it, just taking pictures, as a kid of toys, pools, down in New Orleans. I've always just loved photographing stuff, documenting stuff. Hikes, high school hikes, high school parties, taking pictures. And then I got my dog Gracie back in 2009.
Okay.
And I'm starting to walk, up at the rec center.
Yep. Oh, great spot.
And, it was always in the wintertime. So it's like, okay, oh, wow, these sunsets are great from up here.
Yeah.
So I start taking photos, and I'm taking more photos. And then, then it's like, oh, I'm going to these other spots. I'll take photos there. So it shifted from just people, fun events to landscapes. And then my ex at the time, or my ex now, we were together at the time. She goes, oh, you can sell these. And I'm like, who's going to want to buy these? She's like, no, sell them. So started selling them, and then that made me want to get better equipment to be able to take better photos. So hopefully more people buy it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I guess technically 2012,
okay,
11 is when I started really.
Almost 15 years. Your photos are so, like, when I see them and look at them, sometimes they're so clear. I'm like, I've never had this eyesight. Like, I've never possessed this crystal clear of eyesight until someone sharp tuned it for me, even with corrected lenses. So the Northern Lights photos that you did, or I guess you've done them for a few years now, but I think my first introduction to them was maybe 2-3 years ago. Incredible. Like down at the dock too. I mean, you have basically the most amazing muse in the form of the lake. I mean, you just have really great spaces around you, but you utilize them in really wonderful ways. I mean, anyone can snap a photo, but you do capture it really beautifully.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that.
When you are, do you have a plan in place of, okay, I'm going to go out today at XYZ time and, maybe it's going to be a beautiful sunset, or you just like, you get home from work for the day and say, I'm going to go for a walk. Like, how does that come to be?
Yeah.
All of the above. Okay.
So if I'm on one of my road trips and I'm going west.
Yeah, I was looking at some of your out west photos too.
Oh, I love it out there.
Which those were like literally it's so sharp. I think my eyes can't fully comprehend because they've never seen that clear.
Well, I mean, I could fuzz it up for you if you want. If you have one,
that's just what it's normal for me. Yeah. A little fuzzy. Hint of astigmatism.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, when I'm on vacation, I can plan. I can be like, all right, I'm going to be here for this sunset. Hopefully something happens. And then I'm going to go here at this time because the light is going to be like this and the trees will be like this and I can get these shadows like that. But yeah, when I'm home, just because I'm so dang busy, it's like, oh, shit, sunset. I better get going.
Yeah.
Or I see something, and of course I'm working, or I got the dogs in the car and I don't have any of my gear. And then I have to tell myself, I didn't want to take a picture of that anyways. Like I'm stewing.
Right. Does that ever
because I see something that I want to capture and I'm so pissed at myself.
You see a really beautiful sunset and you're like, oh, of all the days.
I have to talk myself out of like feeling crappy. And I'm like, I didn't want that. It's this dumb sunset.
Luckily, we get a lot of good ones though.
Yeah.
We get a lot of good ones. And when you do the Northern Lights photos, do you just camp out like all night long?
No.
We're on a really fun Facebook thread group of a guy who, I don't even think he's local, but he is in the Northeast somewhere and he like throws out the bat signal to tell everyone be on the lookout.
Nice. Wait, is that Aurora Hunters New York, that Facebook group?
No, it's a man named Tony. And we love Tony.
I think I've heard someone talk about
You probably have heard Tony talk, yeah.
Oh, good for him. God bless him. No, What was the question?
When you like, how do you you must track Northern Lights?
Oh, yeah. I oh, that's right. Do I camp out all night and stuff?
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
Because most of the time the Northern Lights are happening where I have to be somewhere in the morning.
Okay.
So it's like, if the Northern Lights are really good, I will stay out, super late. If they're not all that great and there's just a burst, I'll stay out a little bit because the Northern Lights are so fickle.
Yeah.
That no one can really forecast them.
Right. Hard to hone in on.
I think the only forecast is like, good for about 15, 20 minutes out.
Wow.
But even then, they could just not happen.
Right.
So like, you have the sunspot and it throws out a bunch of material. And if it's in the direction of Earth, you're like, maybe.
Let's go.
And then it's like, oh, it could miss Earth or it could hit Earth. And then, but we're at daytime. So Europe and Russia are getting a show, but we're not going to get that show.
Right.
Or it's, okay, maybe it'll happen around here, but, the solar winds could pick up and just push it earlier. Or it could be really slow to get it to here. It can be between, a day to like 3-4 days, something like that.
Right.
Don't quote me on those times, but it's like that, it can vary
Hit or miss.
the speed in which it gets here.
Yeah.
And then it's like, okay, when that material gets to Earth and now, either something's going to happen, and I forget all the details. It's so complicated to me. Either everything lights up and you're like, awesome. Or it's like just a flash in the pan. Like literally you see the lights at like for 10, 15 minutes and then they might be gone the rest of the night, or they might come back at like 3 a.m. for another 10-minute stretch. So no one really knows unless it's like super big and you're like, this is too big to miss.
Right. It's obviously here.
But if it's just like a small solar flare, it's
hard to capture.
It is. And as I said, you could be out there 10 hours, not see it. It could not even show up.
Right.
And so it's like, all right. And it always happens to me. Actually, it's funny. I met this one other photographer, Heather Baker, and it was a night where we were supposed to see something. And I'm sitting out, freezing my buns off with her on Beach Road. And we're sitting there and we're like, where are these lights? They're supposed to come.
Right.
Numbers are kind of fluctuating, but kind of looking good. And I said, you know what always happens? Every time I leave to go home and sleep, the lights come out. And then I come back out and they go away. And she's like, that's not going to happen. And I'm like, watch this. I'm going to go home. Go home. Pants are off. I'm sitting on bed. Ding, ding, ding. You're right. The lights are back out. So I'm like, ugh. Pants back on, charge back over.
Mm-hmm.
Caught like 2 pictures and then boom, they go away.
But you got the 2.
I got a couple.
Okay.
She got way more. And so I leave and then like, once again, teeth brushed, ready for bed. Oh my God, it's happening again. This is crazy. What's wrong with you? Like, I'm like, all right, I'm coming back. She's like, no, don't.
Yeah, I was the conduit for this.
Yeah.
What's your favorite thing to photograph?
Dogs playing.
Okay. Yeah, I can see how that would be quite joyful.
Still photos. They just look so vicious.
Yeah, but
And their
not at
teeth
all.
Snarls. And no, it's all fun and games.
Yeah.
But serious. The Northern Lights are fun. If you get them, it's just, especially if it's a good show. I mean, it's almost like a religious type event. You're just watching swirling light in the sky. Right. Honestly, I felt more excited photographing the Northern Lights during that huge epic storm, May of 2024, than I did watching the solar eclipse the previous month.
Okay. Yeah.
Although the solar eclipse was like wild.
Yeah.
But the Northern Lights were like crazy.
Yeah. I think the Northern Lights, I mean, the eclipse as well, but it just, you realize how tiny you are on a giant moving rock
Yeah.
in the atmosphere. So, or in the spectral world, I guess. I'm not sure. How can people go about purchasing your photos, and like, how can people find you?
Well, I mean, you can go online, LukeDowPhotography.com.
You also have an Instagram and a Facebook?
Yeah.
Okay.
Same thing, Luke Dow Photography. All my photos on my website are super old. I've been in the process of the last 3-4 years updating that website.
Okay. So is the most accurate, up-to-date going to be your social media?
Yeah. And then just shoot me a message if you want something.
Okay. And it's the holiday season, so I'm sure people will be looking for gifts and things.
Usually I have my artwork up at Biscotti Brothers Cafe this time of year.
Okay.
But they just closed down for the winter.
Yeah, it's
like, well, that sucks.
Yeah.
So now I have all these winter shots that I was preparing for selling during winter. And now it's winter, but I got nowhere to sell them, so I want to get rid of them.
Okay.
I'm selling them basically at cost just to clear them out.
Okay.
So if anyone wants to go to my Facebook site, and every now and then I'll post a group of 10 of these winter photos.
Okay.
And it's basically $30 a pop for a 16 by 20 canvas.
Okay. Wow. That is very reasonable. So go to Luke's social media if you want it. And then also, just before we wrap up, because I think we're probably on time here, you occasionally post these really fun history facts on your social media as well. And I kind of deep dove into a Bloody Pond one that you posted maybe at the end of summer.
Yeah.
But I feel like the lore of Bloody Pond Road is like there was this battle. The pond is kind of swampy now, but there's like bodies at the bottom of it. I may have partly created that in my morbid brain, but talk about Bloody Pond. Mm-hmm. Can you just give us the lore background of like what started your Facebook post?
So basically it was, every kid around here was raised up with the Bloody Pond story. Mm-hmm. Basically, I can't remember if it was people fleeing, English fleeing, or maybe it was French people fleeing, discovered by the English, murdered, ambushed.
Fleeing, murder, ambush, always part of it.
Massacred, bodies thrown into the pond. So many bodies that the pond turned red with blood, hence Bloody Pond. And I remember talking to Bill Gates, and one day, and I said, oh yeah, Bloody Pond. And he's like, funny story. There's a good possibility that that's not the original Bloody Pond. And I'm like,
yeah,
spill the tea.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, so there's a man who owned all that land back in the day, Del Hammond. He's the guy that drove the sheets around the steel pier in 1954.
Okay.
He also owned a little rope tow on French Mountain, and he owned like most of the land of French Mountain, and he had like the King Phillips campground, and he also had a sawmill. And apparently, originally, there were 3 ponds located kind of in a cluster of each other. And as one was to do back in the 50s and 60s, if you had trash, ponds were a great way to get rid of it. So either ponds or sawdust filled up these 2 ponds.
Okay.
And then covered them up.
Okay.
And so, I don't know who's texting me. All right, they're done, I think. So covered them up. So when New York State wanted to start doing like historical stuff in like the 70s or 80s, they were like, all right, where's this Bloody Pond? And they were like, oh, there's only one of them now.
Because they all got filled up.
And so, they had that one by default.
Okay.
And even and of course the guys at Lake George Auto Marine will confirm that the real pond is, they say, back 100 yards and then south 100 yards. And I think, and I did a little thing on Google Earth,
Okay.
I want to say there's a depression that's now all trees over by the bike path.
Okay. I was going to say like behind what was that car dealership
Yeah.
in that area.
Yeah.
Okay.
Somewhere back in there is theoretically the location of the real Bloody Pond. Of course, if you think there's a bunch of bodies down there, you know,
You could go digging.
stuff. Maybe you'll find their clothes, or maybe you won't. Because I read this other story by this guy who I can't remember his name,
Okay.
but there is a possibility that the whole thing was made up,
Okay.
like a false flag narrative. So basically, this guy did this real deep dive into every single, of course, stuff that was recovered from back then, troop letters and, narration of troop movements. Like all the British recorded everything back in the day. And so everything that he could still find on file or, scanned from the, 1900s or whatnot, there is no British Army documentation of this event happening or finding bodies. There's no written, nothing.
Did they all die? Would there be?
Well, they just discovered the bodies afterwards.
Okay, that's
someone
true.
would have
Somebody
seen this
would have.
bloody-
Yeah. You're right.
And, if anyone loves true crime, throw a body in a water. Eventually it'll sink,
But first it floats.
but then they come back up
Yeah.
and they're all gross. Someone would have seen that.
Someone
for
would
sure.
have seen gross bodies.
So, or at least smelled them. So he said that there's
A lot
no,
of smells back then.
people were used to it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, no written record of any discovery of bodies or anything in the pond written down by troops. And they were going all through there because that's where the old military road was. That's the way that the British would come up from Albany and Saratoga and to Lake George was that path.
Okay.
So even if, and it would go right past these ponds, someone would have seen something.
Someone would have seen. So did it even happen?
There are the only record this guy could find was that there was a ton of bloody clothes, bandages, stretchers next to the shores of the ponds.
Okay.
But that was it. Just bloody, discarded cloths and remnants of some, group of people being hurt there. But they didn't see any bodies or anything in the pond. So did someone, kind of take those details and elaborate?
Make it a little more flashy.
Yeah. No photos, no Google back and then. You can't fact check anyone.
Nope. Any placard I see now, I'm going to say, did that really even happen?
Yeah. So, nothing concrete.
Nothing concrete.
Like, there's no excavations and,
No. But the lore lives on. I do always find it fascinating when they are building or developing something in the village and then it's like a bone was found, everything stops. They are reinterning, I think it's next spring, all of the bones that had been discovered.
Oh, that motel?
Yeah. I think that's happening in the
nice.
spring. That's been like a few years in the making, and I think they'll be at Battlefield Park. So,
this was, whether it be war between, colonizers or settler, indigenous and settlers and colonizers, or French and British or British and American. For like 40 plus years, there's just been constant battle.
yeah.
Here and, along the water highways, Lake Champlain, Lake George, Hudson River.
Bodies everywhere.
This was crucial. That's why, Saratoga, if I remember right, was crucial to the turning point of the
I think that's what I remembered in
Revolution.
U.S. history class, turning point of the war. Do you just have conversations with people locally, like people like our Todd Earl? And where do your history nuggets come from?
starts on Google.
Okay.
And then if I'm running into an issue, I used to call up Bill Gates. Unfortunately, I don't have the number of his current address, so it's kind of tough.
Just speak into the...
Yeah. But, then it's just like, just talking like the people across the street at the CarQuest there, Lake George Auto Marine.
Oh, they're wonderful.
They know all about the history of
they're
Bloody
great.
Pond. Like, I was like, hey, did you guys know that this could possibly not be the Bloody Pond? And they're like, oh, no, yeah, we know it's not. The real one's like over here.
Okay.
And I'm like,
should have just come here to start with.
Yeah, right?
Okay.
But no, I always, if I can't find something, definitive online or in a book, I think that Lake George Islands or something like that by Franklin and Bruno. If I can't find it, I always try to reach out to someone. And that someone used to be, the most notable historian on the lake. But now that he's gone, I'm going to have to figure something else out.
I mean, while the history is old, like it's not that old in the grand scheme of things. You can have conversations with people that are maybe a few generations out from some of these folks, family history, whatnot. The lore of this area carries on, certainly the history. So,
oh, absolutely. I mean, there's so many. I mean, it's just areas steeped in history going back to. I mean, even prior to the French and Indian War, Father Isaac Jogues, Samuel D. Champlain, and then, of course, before Europeans came to this land, the indigenous folks, and how many thousands of years were they here? There's just so much here that you can draw on. I mean, everywhere you walk, you can put a shovel in the ground and either find an arrowhead or a musket ball.
One of my best friends is determined, like life goal, to find an arrowhead. And I always say to her, I don't think it's going to be that hard. Just get a shot, like dig around.
Yeah.
Dig around. We're always up in the river in Luzerne trying to find something. One day, we will.
Does she have a metal detector?
No, she's asking for one for Christmas.
You gotta have a metal detector. Actually, fun story.
That will be her Christmas present.
Fun story. She might want to try diving. Some guy.
She's not the best swimmer.
Well, that's why you dive. You walk on the bottom. You don't have to swim. You just have to make sure you can walk to shore before you run out of air. So this guy, where the fort is located, and the school is where Montcalm's forces were. Montcalm, someone like that. And so always, they used to call Pine Point Artillery Point because that's how far the musket balls and stuff went. So that's why they camped up by the school where the high school is now, because they were out of range. They were like,
right,
fire all you want, man. We got a bird's eye view of you.
Yeah.
So this guy, he had an underwater metal detector and said, man, if they were firing back and forth to each other, there's got to be loads of stuff on the bottom. And so he went down with an underwater metal detector. And of course, Lake George is a super silty lake. So the bottom, most of the time is just muck.
Yeah.
But if you go down a couple feet, or a foot, you hit like sand, harder bottoms. And he found, I don't know how many cannonballs, musket balls, like he found all these just sitting in, 15, 20 feet of water, just in between the point and.
Before you leave, I'll show you a woman on the floating classroom probably 6-7 years ago now, showed up for a floating classroom trip and brought me a lantern, which is sitting upstairs, and a musket.
Wow.
Like showed up to the boat for a trip with a musket and a lantern. We kept the lantern. We donated the musket. But it was in the office for a while, so I'll show you that before you head out. So,
where did she find it?
I think up near Rogers Rock. Up near the rock. I think that's where she had pulled it out. Like she and her grandkids were swimming, diving, whatnot. And I don't know if one of the kids stepped on something. Like I'm not quite sure how it came to be, but she was like, I knew I was coming for this floating classroom trip today, so I thought this would be perfect. Do you want it?
I mean, because of that muck on the bottom of the lake, I mean.
It's hiding a lot.
General Knox on his march down to Boston, taking the cannons from Ticonderoga to Boston. I mean, he lost a couple cannons in the lake. And in the northern section, that's, 180.
Like they just fell off.
No, they fell through the ice.
Ah, okay.
And so somewhere, I don't think they've been found.
A couple cannons.
I mean, buried in the muck are, cannons that were destined for Boston. So you have no clue what's buried in this lake at the bottom.
No.
So,
and again, beyond like going back many, many centuries beyond even
water's been
European folk.
So crucial to humanity, whether by, we need it to live or, traveling, transportation, trade, and now tourism.
And I mean, we, of course, our organization's mission is to protect the water quality of Lake George, which is, of course, instilled in the whole region, but very, very important for you guys, types
Everyone.
of tours for everyone, really, for this whole industry. But the reason that people want to come up and go on these steamboats and look at the lake is because it is such a beautiful, crystal clear water body.
Lucky enough to travel to all 50 states. And I've seen thousands of lakes. I've seen 4 other Lake Georges. And Lake George, by no means, is the most beautiful lake in this country. You've got Crater Lake, lakes they made national parks out of.
Right.
So stunning beauty, Moraine Lake, Lake St. Mary's at Glacier National Park, Crater Lake. I mean, just cliffs, mountains, soaring, plunging deep lakes. But so the fact, the claim that Lake George is most beautiful, it's incredibly gorgeous. But like breathtakingly, there's lakes out west that put it to shame. But the one thing that Lake George has on every other lake that I've seen, no other lake, Winnipesaukee might come close, but it doesn't combine the natural beauty that Lake George does. No other lake have I been to that combines, beautiful mountains close to it, cliffs, water, comfortability. Those lakes out west, freezing cold.
Right.
Glacier fed, spring fed.
So deep.
So deep, 600, 2,000 feet deep. So cold. No islands.
Right.
And Lake George combines it's a very accommodating lake. The water is warm, but not boiling.
Right.
The water is clear, unlike lakes down south that are muddy, murky. The fishing is good. Diving is good. You've got numerous islands for camping and recreation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's
Whereas
very
I think
unique.
on Winnipesaukee, most of them are private. Beaches, incredible beaches. Everything's kind of close. It's no other lake. Other lakes might have more of something than Lake George. Lakes down south, better fishing. Lakes out west, more stunning views. And diving because they're glacier clear fed. The Great Lakes, better diving, shipwrecks. But no lake combines the accommodations of everything together. And that's where Lake George sets itself apart truly from any other lake in the country.
Thank you so much for coming today. We appreciate it. So people can find you at Luke Dow Photography, Instagram, social media. You also have a website, purchase photos for holiday gifts or at any time. And can people seek you out if they have a cool place to photograph, or do you do any photography for hire?
Not really.
Okay.
I'm not much of a
freelancer.
People photographer.
I gotcha.
But I do have some friends who are fantastic wedding portrait photographers, and they have a lot more time to do that than I do. So if people reach out to me, and they do, I always refer them to a couple of really great girls.
But otherwise, seek out all of Luke's photography on the website and go out on the steamboats next summer. They will start up in May. Yeah. Hopefully not the rainiest, coldest May, June that we have ever had. So thank you again, Luke, and we appreciate it. We will see you guys next time. The Lake Protectors Podcast is a production of the Lake George Association. To check out the work that the LGA is doing, follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Lake George Association. You can also visit our website at lakegeorgeassociation.org. This episode was produced by Jacqueline Mignot. If you'd like to hear more, follow us on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get your podcasts.